went with me last year to volunteer on Taking Kids to Work Day, and I mean, is this an awesome school? And so at first it was very weird for me because I'm like, so many kids don't speak English. You know, some kids have the Muslim thing on their head. You know, everybody's different. But I thought that it was just such a blessing for these kids to be able to be raised like that, because they're raised in an environment that all of that hate and stuff is not going to be able to foster, because they're all growing up together. And so that's another thing I wanted out of the book. I wanted it to be full of different races, different looks, and things like that. And so that answers the question about the illustrator, I hope.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I'd like to share when I first found out, and your mother's an excellent, what do you call that?
Marketing guru.
Yes.
Yeah.
So marketing, you don't take that for granted.
No.
Your mother's an excellent marketer. And I ordered the book right away off of Amazon.com, and I sent it to Florida, where our grandchildren are. And there's a paternal grandparent down there that he's reading the book to our grandsons in Florida. So your work in Albion, with a lot of great things happening in Albion,
it is.
Your work in Albion has touched my grandchildren in
Amen.
Orlando, Florida.
Amen.
I appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, that's what it's all about. I went to Amazon this morning, because I always go and I check the reviews. You know, I try to tell people all the time, write a review, because the reviews help with your placement on Amazon, and they help them circulate through social media and things like that. But I went and looked at it this morning, and it was such a wonderful testimony on there, and it almost made me cry, because, you know, I'm like, man, you know, I'm a grown man, I don't need to be crying, you know what I'm saying? But I know there's nothing wrong with men crying, but it really touched me, because, you know, for you to be able to start something and have a vision, and for it to be impacting people in different places. You know, people bought it in Hawaii. You know, people bought it in California. You know, my friend from California, he bought, as soon as he saw it, he bought five of them. You know, buying them, you know, he sent me a picture with all of his three little girls, you know, sitting down for story time, all with their own book, you know what I mean? And those kind of things really touched my heart, because, like I said, this was my baby, you know what I mean? It was something that I felt like that the Lord had gave me. And with me struggling with the confidence to even do it, trying to get someone else to do it, then to hold it in my hand and see it become fruition, it really means a lot, you know, when people give me those kind of reviews and stuff like that. You know, I definitely give him the glory for it, though, because, like I said, I didn't plan on being an author. I didn't plan on being a writer. You know, I look at this as more as a movement, as I said before. You know, I want to help kids to be the light of the world. I want to help people be the light of the world. You know, I don't have to walk around quoting scriptures all day. All I got to do is shine. All I got to do is live out what it is I believe in my heart. You know, and with these principles, with the principles that I want to give kids, that's what they'll be doing. You know, and so. Yeah, but I appreciate that testimony. You know, I appreciate your purchasing the book and sending them down here. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Anybody else? Any more questions? I know y'all got some questions. Okay, the story.
You probably answered it already, but what inspired you to write the book?
I did answer it already, but I'm gonna try to do it short version.
Repeat the question.
She said, "What was it that inspired me to write the book?" It was a mixture of, you know, me and Damon was already working on an apparel company called 215 Watts. It was all about being the light of the world, you know. It was based off the scripture, Philippians 2:15. And from that, you know, I just felt like the Lord had started telling me that I needed to write a children's book, and I didn't feel like that was like my thing to do, so I started trying to pass it off to my sisters and people that I thought were capable of doing it. And all of a sudden, you know, it wasn't, I just felt like the Lord would start telling me this was for you to do. And so this through brainstorming, I brought, you know, my little nephew here. You know, he's a real, he really is a bright young man. I mean, he's only 5 years old. I know he's tall, but he's only 5, and I mean, I'm sure he could read. He could read better than a lot of the kids that I go volunteer with in the 3rd grade. You know, he can pick up the Bible right now and read it for you. And I couldn't do that when I was in my 20s. You know, when he came to the Bible, you know, I couldn't get nothing right with the Bible. But he could already do that. And so, you know, we were just playing around with the idea, and I started looking at biblical themes, because the idea that I had something to do with a biblical character. And I couldn't find anything that really just grasped my attention that I felt like kids would just really like, you know. Yeah, you know, you could say like, you know, bedtime prayer stories and stuff like that, but I wanted something like a hero, you know what I mean? Like, kids look up to heroes, you know. Let's get a hero or something like that, something that's with some action in it. And I'm happy you asked this, because this was the challenge that I had. And yeah, this is good. So I wanted it to have action in it, but I didn't want him to be violent. And so I wanted him to be a hero, but I didn't want him to be the typical hero. When we usually look at heroes, we look at it like a vigilante, somebody who go out and bring justice for themselves. I said, well, that's not biblical. I can't have that kind of superhero. So I said, how about a superhero that doesn't do that? But I said, but that'll be boring. If you don't do that, it's going to be boring, right? So I had to find out a way to make some action, to put some action in the book. And I said, so how about if the action is in his head, right? Because he's thinking like, it's a part in the book where it says that what he was thinking about what he could do. If he could spin him around really, really fast like a tornado, or he could take Tommy and find way to the moon so he could never hurt anyone ever again. So this is the action, right? Because you can see the action in the book. But then he hears a small voice from within, and it says, never repay evil for evil. And it says, be the light of the world. So now he's got this conflict in himself, because this is the human conflict. Because if somebody cuts you off, you know, when you're coming down here, you may feel like flipping on the bird, right? But then the inside of you said, nah, my morals don't allow me to do that, right? Because there's always this conflict that goes in the human person. And so I wanted to show the conflict. So he has these thoughts, but then he goes a whole different way. And he doesn't act on those thoughts. And so I wanted to make it realistic as possible, you know, when it comes to the conflict. So yeah, you're going to have these thoughts. Yeah, you're going to get angry. You know what I mean? So when we talk to the kids, yeah, you're going to get angry, but that's not, how are you going to deal with that anger? And see, I believe that these conversations need to happen. You know, so you always just tell people, just be good, just be good, just be good. But you don't tell them you don't tell them how to deal with the emotion that comes up. Because I'm going to have this emotion if somebody do me wrong, right? You got to teach them how to deal with the emotion. And that's one of the things that I believe we're trying to accomplish in this book, Bright and the Bully. So, does that answer your question? All right. Good.
So how long is it going to take before you think you publish another book?
Well, I could publish another one right now, but I want to give this one time to really get out there and circulate. You know, that's why, you know, I'm appreciative for all of you all out here that came out to support. You know, I'm going to do many events as I can, and I want to really circulate this book, because I believe that this has a message that absolutely needs to be heard. You know, I don't want this to just be Albion. It's already not just Albion. I want this, like I said, this is a movement. This is something that's going to go all across the country, because I really feel like the principles in this book can change a lot of people. It's already in the Albion Public Library. It's up in the Lansing Public Library. And I just got the hardcover versions approved, so we're looking at getting into Barnes and Nobles. You know, it's a lot of work when you're in self-publishing. You know, I hired a personal assistant to do a lot of the things for me. You know, I got to run the website, got to do a lot of these different things. So we decided not to just put out the other one yet. I do, like I told you guys at the beginning, I did just finish a novel last night though. And I'm going to publish that under 215 watts as well, but I'm probably not, I might not use the same pen name. But that one I'm thinking will be out within the next 3 or 4 months though, after I get the editor's copies and stuff like that.
Kind of a hypothetical question, but what do you think your character Tommy would have done if Darina had been cyberbullied?
Cyberbullied? What would Tommy
have done?
So he would be the one that was cyberbullying her, right?
No, wait, I'm sorry. Tommy is the bad guy, the superhero. I'm sorry, I've got the names mixed up.
What would Brighton do?
Brighton.
What would he do if it was a cyberbully?
If Darina had been cyberbullied.
Well, I think one of the steps he talks about is he says that you should never deal with this alone. No one should ever have to deal with it alone. So I believe that Bright would have reached out to Darina and spoke to her, because there's not a whole lot he can do when it's dealing with cyberbullying. For those of you who don't know what cyberbullying is, he's meaning like through Facebook or something like that. I believe Bright would have reached out to Darina and consoled her and stood with her, because a lot of times when people are cyberbullied, they're dealing with those things alone as well. So they're just at their house feeling like nobody likes them, everybody hates them, you know what I mean? And so I believe Bright would have reached out to her and reassured her first, and then even talk to her about going to another step and telling somebody. Like another step is that, tell a parent, tell a friend, you know what I mean? So I think those are the steps he would have took. He would have used the same steps though. I think no matter what the form of bullying is you have to be willing to open up to people, because this kid is different don't mean that, you can't reach out to him and let him know that everybody don't hate you. The girl that I told you on the bus, when she said everybody hates me, all it would have took is another kid saying, look, I don't hate you, I like you, you're pretty cool, you know what I mean? And so that's what I think he would have did.
Are you able to share the title of your novel with us yet, or?
Yeah, I definitely will. Now this one is, I'm so blown away by this book. I'm gonna tell you because, and I'm gonna just tell you a quick story about it before I tell you the title. So, still working for Dean Transportation. At the beginning of the year, they called me and they said, I need you to come out to Colon, Michigan. I said, Colon, Michigan? I never even heard of Colon, Michigan. They said, are you willing to go up here and work in Colon, Michigan? And I said, well, possibly. I'm the type of person that I say, I usually say yes because I believe that the Lord put me in different situations only for me to grow, for me to get new experiences and stuff like that. And so I went up to Colon, Michigan, and when I was driving to Colon, Michigan, it was nothing but country. And so when I get closer, I started seeing Confederate flags everywhere. I didn't get no cell phone service, and I'm like, man, what have I got myself into? And so I get to Colon, Michigan, and I'm greeted by the supervisor up there. And the supervisor was very nice, really warm, really opening, and he brought me in. He started telling me what the school was like. Colon, Michigan is the magic capital of the world. So home of the Magi. That's the school that it was. And so they believe strongly in magic all in Colon, Michigan. So I go to Colon, Michigan, and I'm starting working in Colon, Michigan, and I mean, I like it. It's a nice little town. Everybody's friendly. Nobody has any problem. You know, I haven't had any problems or anything through Colon, Michigan. But one thing that I noticed on the bus, because Colon, Michigan is an all-white town, right? The only difference is there's no diversity, but there's Amish kids and there's regular kids, right? And so on my bus, the divide was Amish versus regular. And so the other kids always picked on the Amish kids. One of my coworkers said, if the Amish kids tell you something, believe them, because everything they say is true. And so every time the Amish kids, Mr. Williams, you know, they're picking on me, I believe her, because she, you know, they live by a certain code and principle. But so they was always picking on them. So it was a divide, a real strong divide. And one of the things that, because it's based off a true story, one of the things that I did one morning, I don't know, we were sitting up there and we had to wait. It was like a 10-minute wait before I could let them into school. And I said, I just pulled up my mic and I said, all right, kids, today we're going to do something called school bus karaoke. And they're like, what? School bus karaoke? I said, yeah, so we're going to do school bus karaoke. Who want to come up here and sing a song in the mic for me? And everybody quiet, you know what I mean? And one of the little girls was like, hey, I'll do it. And she came up there and she started singing a song. And she sung this song, and it was just a little silly song, you know what I mean? But she could sing pretty good, too. And then after that, another kid came up. Then the kid that was a bully, little Brian came up. And he started doing little, you know, Batman smells, you know, those kind of little songs, you know. But we had a great time Like, everybody was laughing, everybody was joking. And so all of a sudden, this idea came in my head to make a book called School Bus Superstar. And it's all about this guy named Will, which of course is representation of me. I mean, it's a fiction book, but I base it off a real thing. Who came to this school, and he's faced with all kind of adversity. Of course, it's not exact, because I didn't have any problems when I went to Coleman, but in the book, he does face some problems because he ended up being a big change in the community, along with the little girl who is the school bus superstar. You know, one of the videos go viral on YouTube, and everybody sees it, and so it brings a lot of attention to Westminster, which is the school that they're in, and. I mean, but to answer your question, it's called School Bus Superstar. And I mean, I was just reading the ending of it last night, and there was another time that I almost started crying again. Because I was like, wow, you know, like, where's this stuff coming from? You know, but I think everybody's gonna love it though. Any more questions?
How do you see bullying today versus what it was back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s?
I mean, I think that bullying really doesn't change much. I mean, to be honest, I think that it's always going to be bullies. I think the internet, and what you said about cyberbullying and stuff like that, the internet and the social media, it's just really made it, it's just made it stand out more, and it's made it more visible, and it's made it where you can get bullied from farther away. You know, usually in order to get bullied, you know, you had to be close up, but now you can get bullied from far away. But I believe that, I believe the same thing I believe it's the same. I don't think it's really changed that much. You know, I don't think it's changed.
And there are black in Poland, Michigan. I had a house on the lake, and I had neighbors that were black.
Okay, see, I didn't see it. Yeah. You know, I saw one mixed kid. I was like, I'm not alone. Okay, but Colin is a very cool little town, and I mean they embrace me with open arms, so I can't complain about it. But you know, I want to dedicate that book to Colin, Michigan, though, because the vision came in Colin, Michigan. And you know, when I go back to when I finish it, I'm gonna take an autographed copy to Home of the Magi high school, middle school. You know, I love the football. I used to take the football team on trips. You know what I mean? I connected with the coaches and things like that. Really good time. You know what I mean? I like Coach. Anybody else?
Yeah, so what challenges did you face when you was writing that book?
Oh man, all kinds. And see, because this is the message I want kids to have too. Like, you don't have to be great. Like, you don't have to be a prolific writer. I think you don't have to be great at most of the things that you do, as long as you try. And as long as you know, put your best foot forward, you know. Again, I don't feel like I'm the best writer. I don't feel like I'm the best speller. I don't feel like my vocabulary is the greatest. But I believe that I can learn, and I believe that there's help if you just try and if you just reach out. You know, Miles Monroe, he was talking about how he started, you know, he's a bestseller time and time again. And he was talking about how he didn't try to be a writer. You know, he was just somebody who would get up there and speak. I'm a minister myself, so I speak I speak quite often. But he said that someone was in the audience and said, "Man, this stuff needs to be in the book. How about I just transcribe your words and I write the book?" But now Miles Monroe, it seems like everybody's feel like he's this great prolific writer, but he wasn't even writing the books, he was just speaking. And so when I first started with the novel, I started on a different novel because I have another novel called Trey. Only thing I was doing is I was recording. I was recording my thoughts. I recorded it, and I could pretty much read the book to you by this verbatim, you know what I mean? And so when I was sending it to people, you know, they were like, "Man, this is great. You have a great voice." They said, "But next time, will you please write it down?" Because all I was doing was just, you know, recording myself, you know. But so I started taking some classes, you know. Mr. Pons was in here, but his wife, you know, she's like a second mother to me. I started taking classes, you know, helping tighten up on my grammar, tighten up on my writing skills and stuff like that. So that was one of the biggest challenges, you know, when they told me that you have to show more and less telling. So I said, okay, now I gotta pick up a craft of showing and not telling, you know. That was a challenge. Again, what I said about the illustrator, finding an illustrator that really fit well with myself, and that was a challenge. Those were the major challenges, and just the fact about writing query letters. I don't know if any of you ever tried to write a book or try to get published, you know, but it's a thing called writing query letters. That means what you're gonna do is you're gonna write this book. After you write this book, the hardest part is writing this small little letter to an agent, because you're trying to get an agent. The next step is to get an agent that's going to shop your book to all the publishing companies, because they're not going to take unsolicited cases. What they do is they take them from agents. So you got to write this query letter. And here it is, you sitting up here trying to write the best letter in the smallest little gap. You know, you want to describe your book well, because they get so many. You only have just a couple quick sentences to grab their attention. And that was a big challenge for me, because I was sitting up there trying to write a query letter in order to be traditionally published before I ended up finding out I was going to just go ahead and be self-published. Anybody else? All right, well, if we don't have anybody else, any more questions or anything?
Good luck.
I definitely appreciate y'all for coming out. And I know at the beginning, I asked if anybody wanted a cup of coffee, and no one wanted one. So if there's somebody, I'm going to pick one person. If you want a cup of coffee, I'm going to buy it just to patronize Stirling Books and Brews, because I don't drink coffee or tea, but if it's somebody that would like one, I'll buy you a cup. Would you like one? Drink coffee? Tea? Okay.
But I do want to sign autograph and copy of my book. I'm going to switch my grandson.
Okay, awesome. And I'm asking y'all, if you read the book, if you purchased the book, go to Amazon and leave a review, please. It really helps me out. It really helps out with placement, you know. Just go to Amazon.com and leave a review. And if you want a book, if you want to get a book today, you know, just because you're grown don't mean you can't buy a book either. I know you know kids and people that kids that could use this. So I have some Sterling. I think they might have a couple left too, but I have some over here as well. And again, I appreciate you guys. And if you'd like me to sign, I'm open here to sign. Thank you all for showing up. God bless you all. Yeah. Huh? So, let me see. You want to write that? Yeah. 13.